Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone to our today's session on Mahabharata character series. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So welcome everyone to our Mahabharata character series. We are discussing from the wonderful life and teachings of Bhishma Dev. So far we have discussed how Bhishma Dev, although he was supposed to be the king, but just to please his father, he took a vow of celibacy, and that's why he was called as Bhishma. And then we also saw that Bhishma, he was so very powerful, but still he arranged for the marriage of his brothers, and ultimately he was put in such a situation that Satyavati told that now there is nobody who can beget the progeny for the dynasty to continue. So you please get married or at least beget child. But Bhishma, because he was so very firm in his vow, he had faith in the power of God, that he continued with his vow, and ultimately Vyasdev came and he begot children. Bhishma, he led a life of complete sacrifice, living in the midst of such a wonderful opulence, but still maintaining a vow of celibacy. He tried his best to give good counsel to the ruling king. But we saw that, because ultimately, Pandu, he died, and Pandavas and Kunti came back. The Kauravas, the brothers, Duryodhana and all the other brothers, they were not so happy, seeing the Pandavas come back. They plotted so many, dubious plots just to kill Pandavas. Ultimately, Pandavas, because they were such virtuous, they were saved by the Lord. And then ultimately, Bhishma, he told Dhritarashtra that you please give the kingdom to Pandavas because citizens, they are blaming us. Then Dhritarashtra, he gave half of the kingdom, which was completely useless. But Pandavas, headed by Yudhishthir, they were so very powerful that they made a wonderful city there. Ultimately, we heard that Duryodhan, he arranged for a gambling match, and Draupadi, she was insulted there. And we also saw that why Bhishma was siding the Kauravas. It was a sacrifice of reputation for devotion. So that's what we had discussed so far. So now, after Pandavas, they lost the gambling match, they were sent for 12 years of Vanvas and 1 year of Agyatavas. So Arjuna, after this whole Agyatavas was over, and Duryodhan, he came to know that Pandavas, they are hiding in Virat kingdom. They attacked with all the force. Arjuna, very, you know without any much effort, he defeated the Kauravas, and now they were the rightful claimant of the kingdom. But Duryodhan was not ready to give kingdom back to the Pandavas. Pandavas, they tried their best to make peace and settle for even just 5 villages. Bhishma, he went to Dhritarashtra. He said, "Oh Dhritarashtra, if you don't stop your son Duryodhan, your entire dynasty will be destroyed. All your sons will be killed." But Dhritarashtra was also equally, you know, desirous of the kingdom. We had discussed in our earlier classes how Dhritarashtra is a root of this tree of irreligion. Duryodhan is a tree of irreligion and Dhritarashtra is a root. Dhritarashtra, he wanted to become the king, but because he could not become the king, he wanted at least my sons should become the king. The desire for fame, respect, and all these praise, it is so very deeply rooted. One becomes completely blinded. Dhritarashtra could not accept the good advice of Bhishma, and the war was imminent now. Now Duryodhan and all the Pandavas also, they were trying to accumulate more and more armies. Krishna had a very, very powerful Narayani Sena. Duryodhan and Arjuna both went to ask for the help from Krishna. And ultimately, it is another big story. Ultimately, Arjuna, he chose Krishna, and Duryodhan, he was so very happy that he got Narayani Sena. That is the difference between a person who has a spiritual mentality, a divine mentality, and a demoniac mentality. A person who is a demoniac, who has evil intentions, he does not care even if he is against the Lord. And that's what Duryodhan was. He, even in Bhagavad Gita, we see in the first chapter itself, when Duryodhan is counting the names of the warriors who are on the side of Pandavas, he neglects Krishna completely. Who is Krishna? Krishna was the key person in the entire war of Mahabharata. But Duryodhana, he was thinking from material point of view. He was thinking, oh, Krishna is not fighting, so what is the use of counting him? You know. But Arjuna, he said, if Krishna is there, I don't need anything else. So Duryodhan, he chose worldly things and rejected Lord. The scriptures, they tell again and again, they describe the temporary nature of this world. How this world is so very temporary. Bhagavad Gita says it is ashashvata. Ashashvata means it is temporary. It will not last. And therefore, scriptures, they tell us, Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to live in this world properly, and while living in this world, how to plan for the next life. Many times there are so many people who tell us, there are so many speakers who tell us how to live in this world, but seldom we are taught how to plan for the next life. Because the scriptures, they repeatedly tell that this life is not all in all. We know the story of Alexander when he was just about to die. He told his ministers that when I die, put my hands out of the coffin open, and the doctor should carry my dead body to the graveyard. So he was asked, why you are making such desire? Why you have such a desire? So this Alexander, he said, I want to tell the world that we cannot take even a single penny with us, and not even doctors can save us. Therefore, while living in this world, we have to plan our life in such a way that we live life properly in this world according to the principles laid down by the nature, and at the same time plan and prepare for the next life. That is called spiritual life. Spiritual life means living in harmony with nature, how to live in this world and how to leave this world. For example, if somebody wants to travel abroad, so there are so many things he will carry, but a very important thing he'll do is he'll exchange the currency. Just imagine if the country where he is going, there is no currency exchange counter. The person may be a billionaire here, but if he is not exchanging his currency, he'll be a beggar there. Similarly, time and again, the great personalities, the scriptures, they have taught us that you may be a billionaire in this life, but ultimately we have to leave empty handed. So we have to learn to acquire the currency which will help us in the next life. And that's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that spiritual life is a permanent currency, permanent account. Neha bhikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In second chapter, 41st verse, Krishna says, whatever little endeavor you do in this path of spiritual life never goes in vain. So therefore, Duryodhan, he was not at all concerned about next life. Even Krishna came as peace messenger, but Duryodhan, he was so evil. He had the plan of arresting Krishna. All the assembly members, they were shocked to hear this plan. Bhishma, he said, I cannot be the part of this impudent plan. It is so very sinful. He walked out of the palace. But Duryodhan, he continued, and ultimately Krishna, he is Lord, who can bind him? He showed his Virata Rupa, foiled all the plans of Duryodhan. Now, the war was inevitable. Finally the time for war came. So far we have discussed, five parvas in the life of Bhishma. As we are going through the life of Bhishma, we have discussed five parvas of Mahabharata in short. Adi Parva, birth of Kuru elders, including Bhishma. Then Sabha Parva, where Pandavas were called for gambling match and Draupadi was disrobed, Pandavas were exiled. Then Vana Parva, where Pandavas, they were in the forest meeting sages. Then after that, Virat Parva, Pandavas were staying in Cognito, Agyatavas in the kingdom of Virat, and Udyog Parva. Udyog Parva means Pandavas, they were making allies with the kings. Now, the sixth Parva is beginning, which is the longest Parvas, longest of the Parvas, which is called as Bhishma Parva. So Bhishma, he was the commander in chief of the army of Kauravas. He was the commander for 10 days. And before war began, Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So war was about to start. And Duryodhan, he went to Dronacharya and he encouraged Dronacharya that please fight to your full capacity. Earlier you have made a mistake. You taught Drishtadyumna. Drishtadyumna was born to kill Dronacharya. But Dronacharya, because he was such a liberal Brahmana, he even taught the military science to Drishtadyumna. So Duryodhan, he wanted to make sure that Drona does not commit such mistake again. War began with the blowing of the conch, and Krishna makes the entry first time in Bhagavad Gita with the blowing of the conch shell. Arjuna, he told Krishna, oh Krishna, please bring my chariot in between the two armies so that I can see who all have assembled with a desire to fight. Krishna brought the chariot in between the two armies. Arjuna, when he sees his own relatives, in the Mahabharata war, 5 generations of people were fighting. Grandfathers, fathers, Arjuna's brothers, sons, and grandsons. Arjuna, when he saw all these relatives assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he became overwhelmed. He said, oh Krishna, I cannot fight. Arjuna had all the will, all the skills. He had defeated so many of the warriors, but now he lacked the willpower. He was lacking the willpower. When Krishna he spoke Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna he again became situated in his proper intelligence. That's what scriptures are. Many times in life we have all the skills, we know how things are done, but still because of our inner weak heartedness, we are not able to execute things properly. At that time, we have to take shelter of scriptures. We have to take shelter of the spiritual teachers who can teach us the right way to do things in this world. And that's what Krishna told. That's what Arjuna did. Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, and Krishna he spoke this whole Bhagavad Gita. Before the war began, Yudhishthir he went to Bhishma and asked for the blessings of all the elderly people who were there. Bhishma he speaks a very enigmatic verse. He says there, actually, money is not a slave of anyone, but everyone is a slave of money. And because I am bound by the money of the Kauravas, that's why I have to fight on their side. Actually, this is humility of Bhishma. This is just a superficial thing. And we have discussed in the last class what was the inner mentality of Bhishma. A pure devotee, and for that matter, any personality, should never brag about himself, should never boast about himself. And especially, it is very much important in the spiritual circle. Humility is the prime qualification, prime quality of a devotee, of a spiritualist. Because Krishna himself is a very, very humble personality and he likes his devotees to be humble. So, therefore, when we boast about ourselves, when we speak high about ourselves, actually we are demeaning ourselves. People in this world, when they boast about ourselves, they think people will, respect us, people will respect for what they are. But actually, one should not demand respect, one should command respect. Naturally, when we are following the rules and regulations, when we are living a life of morality, integrity, naturally it will attract respect. Naturally, people are attracted to a person who is very, very genuine, humble, and respectful to others. And that's what Bhishma was. He was not bragging about himself. He was not telling, oh, do you know that I am fighting on the behalf of Kauravas because it is the will of Krishna? No, he was very humble. He said, because I have, you know, taken money from Kauravas, that's why I have to fight for them. Actually, it was Bhishma's property. He was the rightful owner, and voluntarily he had given up that to serve the king. So that is a real spiritualist. That is a real devotee. Yudhishthir he asked, "O grandsire, nobody can fight you. No one in the world can ever defeat you. How will we able to defeat you?" Yudhishthir, Bhishma, he said, "Till the time I have weapons in my hand, nobody can defeat me. I can't be defeated. But ask me this question after some time, I'll reveal you how I can be defeated." Actually, all the great generals, Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, they wanted Pandavas to win. But because of various circumstances, they had to fight on the side of Kauravas. So, then, before the war was about to begin, Bhishma, he was assessing the strength of all the warriors. Duryodhan had asked him, "O grandsire, O Pitamaha, please tell me about the power of all the warriors." That time, Bhishma was assessing everybody. Bhishma told that I will not fight against Shikhandi because I see him what he was in the past. Because we discussed that actually Shikhandi was a woman, but because of the mercy of a Yaksha, Sthuna, she became a man. So Bhishma said, I'll not fight against Shikhandi, so be careful. And that time he told that all the soldiers, all the warriors should follow the codes of war. That time he was assessing all the commanders and he said, this Karna, he said, first of all, he said, this Shalya, he is a Maharatha. This Kripa, he is a Atiratha. And He told so many of the soldiers designation. Drona is Maharatha, and this Karna, he is not even a Rathi, he is a Ardharathi. Why? Because Karna was a very powerful soldier. But Bhishma was telling him as a Ardharathi. He told actually Karna because he has lost his Kavacha and Kundal. We have discussed in the Karna series how he lost his Kavacha and Kundal. And because he is cursed by Parshuram, so therefore he is not even a Rathi. Karna, when he heard, he became infuriated. He got up, eyes burning with anger. He said, "Oh Bhishma, oh grandsire, why are you always insulting me? I think you are on the side of Pandavas. You want to create dissension in our army. That's why you are speaking like this." Bhishma, he also got up. He also became angry. He said, "From the day you have entered our kingdom, inauspiciousness has entered. You always, speak so many big words, but you have not done anything great. I can challenge and I can defeat you today." Duryodhan, he entered, he intervened, and he pacified both of them, calmed them down. Bhishma, he said, "Look, you know, till the time, you all are fighting according to the laws of Kshatriya, then I will give my best." Drishtadyumna, he said before the war began, Drishtadyumna was the commander in chief of the Pandavas. He said, "We will not be the first one to break the laws of Kshatriya war. But if Kauravas do that, we will not, stop. We'll also do the same thing." That is the principle of Shatho Shatyam. In front of a cunning person, you have to be cunning. So then, the first day of war, Bhishma, he was unstoppable. He started massacring the army of Pandavas. Pandava warriors, they started, running away, running from the battlefield. Abhimanyu entered. Although Abhimanyu, he was the youngest there, but he was so very powerful, so formidable that he stopped Bhishma with his very fierce attack. But Bhishma, he was ravaging the army of the Pandavas. He was destroying the great portion of the army of the Pandavas because Bhishma had taken a vow. Before the war began, Bhishma, he took a vow, "I will kill 10,000 soldiers every day, but I'll not kill Pandavas." That was the vow he had taken. Because for Bhishma, he said, "For me, all the Pandavas are like Duryodhan." Although he loved Pandavas more because of their virtue. But he had taken a vow that I'll not kill the Pandavas. And Duryodhan agreed for that. Seeing the disaster after the first day of the war, Yudhishthir, he became completely, you know, uh, disgusted. He became disheartened. He lost all his morale. He went to Krishna after the war was over. He told Krishna, "Oh Krishna, if things happen like this, I don't think we can ever defeat Bhishma. Better to go to the forest and beg rather than, putting all these soldiers' life in, such a risky situation." Going in front of Bhishma is like going in front of the mouth of death. So I don't think we can ever defeat Bhishma. Krishna, he solaced him. He said, "Oh Yudhishthir, don't lose morale. Victory and defeat, they are the part of life." Very wonderful instruction Krishna told, he gave to Yudhishthir. And that's what happens with everybody in life. Many times we are facing with victory, we face victory, we are so very joyful, elated, happy. Many times we face defeat. our plans, they are destroyed, they are not successful. And in those situations, many times we become completely disheartened. We think, now I cannot become successful. Krishna, he said, don't worry. Victory and defeat, they are part of life. One who learns to go through them and still be in a positive attitude, definitely the war will be won by that personality. We may lose few battles, but will win the war. So we should not be so much, disheartened and depressed when we are not successful in our small endeavors. In fact, many times Krishna is teaching us that you have to put your more and more effort. Yudhishthir, somehow he was solaced. He continued, and even in the spiritual life, it happens many times when we are practicing our, devotional practices. We may not come up to our expectations of spiritual standards. We may fall down from our standards many times, but Krishna is telling Yudhishthir, and through Yudhishthir, is telling all of us, don't be disheartened. Don't lose. Don't stop fighting. Don't lose your strength. And for sure, because Krishna is there on the side of Pandavas, Jayastu Pandu Putranam Yesham Pakshe Janardana. If God is there on somebody's side, how can he face defeat? So then, ultimately, Yudhishthir was pacified somehow. Second day, Pandavas were in little better position. Arjuna was supposed to fight with Bhishma because he had taken a vow that I will kill Bhishma. Before the battle started, Arjuna took a vow that I'll give up all my attachment for Bhishma, because for Bhishma, for Arjuna, Bhishma was his most dear grandfather. When Arjuna was a small child, he would go and jump on the lap of Bhishma. With his dirty feet, he would spoil the clothes of Bhishma. And he would say, oh father, oh father. Bhishma would say, oh my child, I'm not your father, I'm your grandfather. So Arjuna, he was such, in such love with Bhishma that for him, just the thought of killing Bhishma was unbearable. But still he said, I'll give up all my affection and I will kill Bhishma. But still, Arjuna was not getting the strength to fight with Bhishma with wholeheartedness. In this way, war went on. Fourth day, again, Pandavas, they were more powerful. Bhima, he started attacking Duryodhan. He injured Duryodhan. The whole elephant division of Kauravas, they came to assist Duryodhan. Bhima, he mercilessly killed everyone. So many of the brothers of the Kauravas of Duryodhan came. Bhima killed all of them. Duryodhan was completely devastated. He went to Bhishma at the end of the day and he said, how is it that even in front of you, our army is getting massacred? How are we facing defeat like others? You know, we cannot be defeated by the Pandavas because you are there. Bhishma was silent. Then, after a little pause, in a very grave voice, he said, O Duryodhan, as long as Keshav is there on the side of Pandavas, we cannot win. Do you know who is Keshava? He is God himself. He said, Bhishma said, do you know, when I went to heaven with my mother Ganga, the sages told me there that when Mother Earth, she was burdened with demoniac powers, all the Devatas, they went to Vishnu for help. And Lord Vishnu, he told them that I will, come and I will help to remove all this burden of demoniac kings. So Nar and Narayan Rishi, they have appeared as Arjuna and Krishna. They are indefeatable. Nobody can defeat them. Duryodhan, although he had heard this many times in the past, but this time the reality dawned upon him. He asked Bhishma, please tell me more about Krishna. Who is this Krishna? What all he has done? Bhishma, he was filled with joy. First time, he was, after a long time, he was getting a chance to glorify Krishna. That's the joy of a devotee. For a person who is interested in spiritual life, we should be looking for the opportunity to speak about Krishna. That's how we'll come close to Krishna. That's how we'll come close to God. And therefore, Bhishma, he became so very happy to get the opportunity to speak about Krishna. He started speaking such enormously about Krishna. He said how this Krishna, he as a small child, he killed so many of the demons. He lifted the whole Govardhan mountain, and he is the person who has killed all the army of Jarasandha so many of the times. In this way, he glorified Krishna again and again. And then he said, "Oh Duryodhan, anybody who does not accept Krishna as God, he's a demon. And because you don't accept Krishna as God, I consider you also as demoniac." So, for Duryodhan, he would have become enraged. But because that time he was so very subdued by the defeat, he did not say anything. He started contemplating, oh, is Krishna really God? But why will he fight with me? Just see the mentality of Duryodhan, very interesting. He's saying, why will he fight with me? I'm not such a bad person. That is what happens. The more one is hungry for respect, wealth, power, position, the more he is intoxicated, the more he is illusioned. In that intoxication, that is called, Janmandh. Somebody may be Janmandh, but the person who becomes Madandh, the person who becomes Dhanandh. Dhanandh means proud because of the wealth. Madandh means proud because of the illusion. So the person who becomes intoxicated and illusioned by the power, he does not even realize that when he has transgressed the laws of religion and he is on the side of irreligion. That's what happened with Duryodhan. When Duryodhan was born, he was named as Suyodhan. Suyodhan means the person who has good qualities, but because of his, bad behavior, he was named as Duryodhan. That night, Duryodhan, he bowed down to Krishna. He thought, if Krishna is God, it will bring some good fortune. So let me bow down in front of Krishna. But he did not change his thoughts process. He felt some peace by hearing about Krishna, but he did not change his mentality, you know, because the attachments were so strong that he could not become submissive. That's what happens. Attachment to our distorted perceptions cannot allow us to accept the reality. So we have to understand that this our perceptions in this world, they should be in line with the scriptures, in line with the religious principles. That's why it is very, very important that we read Bhagavad Gita regularly. We read scriptures, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam, and that will refine our intelligence. That will purify our thought process. Meditation and chanting the names of the Lord purifies our mind. The scriptures, they purify our intelligence, and the association of devotees purify our egoistic mentality. Duryodhan, he didn't change his mind. He continued fighting. Eighth day of battle, Bhishma, he continued to be the commander. That day, there was a fierce fight between Bhima and Duryodhan again. Duryodhan, he was completely wounded. Again, Bhima killed several other brothers of Duryodhan. Duryodhan, he was completely frustrated and he was angry. Angry because of the defeat, frustrated because he was not able to do anything. That day, after the day ended, Duryodhan, he went to Karna. Karna, when he saw his friend, he said, "Oh, Duryodhan, how are you? I hope everything is going on well. Are our forces defeating Pandava army?" Duryodhan, he said, "No, we are facing defeat." He shook his head in exasperation. He was completely, disturbed. Karna asked, "What happened?" Duryodhan, he explained the whole situation. Karna, he said, "Allow me to come in and I'll kill all the Pandavas." Although Karna had taken a vow in front of Kunti, "I will not kill, four Pandavas, but I'll kill Arjuna." But just to please Duryodhan, he said, "I will kill all the Pandavas. Just allow me to come in. Just tell Bhishma to step down." Duryodhan, he said, "Okay, I'll talk to grandsire." That day, that night, Duryodhan, he went to the tent of Bhishma. Bhishma, when he saw the wounds of Duryodhan, he felt so very bad. He felt such affection because Duryodhan was also the grandson. He started putting personally the herbs and he chanted mantras to heal Duryodhana's wounds. Duryodhan, he spoke words which were more painful than the wounds created by arrows. As it is said, many times the words are more powerful than the swords. The wounds which are created by the sword may get healed in some time, but the wound which is created by the words, it may take years to heal. Duryodhan, he said, "O Bhishma, O grandsire, why are you not fighting with your full capacity? How is this possible that we are getting defeated? Pandavas are creating havoc. I think you are not fighting to your full capacity. You should have told me before that if you are going to be partial to the Pandavas, I would have not appointed you as the commander in chief." Bhishma, when he heard these words, he was completely devastated. This charge of Bhishma being partial, who was Bhishma? Bhishma, although first of all he didn't want to fight, but still, because he had given a word, he was giving his full to fight on the side of Kauravas. Still, Duryodhan insulted. Still, Duryodhan questioned the prowess of Bhishma. He insulted him. He said such words which pierced the heart of Bhishma. Bhishma, he said, "O Duryodhan, why are you speaking such words? You know I am giving my full. I am giving my full strength to fight and defeat the army of Pandavas." In this world, we have to be really careful how we choose our words. Once spoken, the words cannot be taken back. The words can make relations and break relations. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, "Anudveg karam vakyam satyam priya hitam chayat." The words which we speak should not agitate others. We should speak truth in a palatable way. Sometimes people think, oh, I should, if when they hear some interesting information, even if it is not such palatable, they are so very eager to tell that to others. And this creates such pain in the mind of other people. A gentle personality, a saintly personality, will always speak words which will encourage others. You know, Bhishma, he said, "O Duryodhan, if you think, although I am fighting to the best of my potential, but just to pacify you, I take a vow." He took out 5 very fierce looking arrows, sat down in meditation, put the arrows in front on a cloth. He started chanting mantras. And then he came out of the meditation and said, "O Duryodhan, I have invested my whole life's mystic power in these 5 arrows. Tomorrow I am going to kill all the 5 Pandavas with these 5 arrows." Duryodhan, when he heard this, he became so very happy. And he said, "Please give me those 5 arrows." Because he did not want to take any risk. And he said, "Tomorrow I'll give you." Because he did not want anybody to know about those 5 arrows. But there was one personality who came to know, and that was Krishna. Because Krishna is God, He is there present in hearts of everyone. He came to know. That night, Arjuna was sleeping very peacefully, but Krishna became restless. He became very disturbed. That's how Krishna is. He personally takes care of his devotees. Time and again, Krishna has proved how he personally interferes in the life of his devotees. Practicing spiritual life, practicing bhakti is a best insurance policy, that is LIC. Zindagi ke saath bhi, zindagi ke baad bhi, you know. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that my devotee will never perish. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I protect what my devotees have and I provide what my devotees lack. O Arjuna, declare it boldly, my devotee will never perish. That is Krishna. Krishna went to the camp of Arjuna and said, "Oh Arjuna, please get up." Arjuna said, "What happened, Krishna? In the middle of the night, what happened? You are coming." He said, "You please go, and Duryodhan, he has 5 arrows which Bhishma has given to him. Please ask those 5 arrows." Because, we have discussed in the our session on Karna that when Duryodhan and all the other Kauravas, they went during the Vanvas and they were showing their wealth to the Pandavas. A Gandharva called Chitrartha, he came and he arrested Duryodhan. That time Arjuna had come and he had helped Duryodhan, you know, and he defeated Chitrartha. That time Duryodhan had given a vow, a promise to Arjuna. He had said that today you have helped me, so in future you may ask me any one benediction. Krishna told him, "You please go and ask Duryodhan for those 5 arrows." Arjuna went and he told. And because that was a custom in the past, in the evening, the enemies also could go and meet each other. Duryodhan, he became so very angry, so very frustrated when he heard this. But because he had given the promise, he had to give the 5 arrows. He asked, "Who told you about these 5 arrows?" Arjuna, he said, "Krishna told me." Duryodhan, he became so very furious. He said, "Oh, this Krishna, I think he's God. But anyways, I will fight." That is a demoniac mentality. Next morning, Bhishma was ready for the war. He went to Duryodhan and he asked for 5 arrows. Duryodhan, he became red faced. He could not speak for some time, and then somehow he gathered the strength, courage, and told what happened. Bhishma, when he heard, he smiled because he knew. Actually, when Bhishma he took the vow of killing 5 Pandavas, he had no intention of killing the Pandavas. He knew that Krishna will do something to protect the Pandavas. And just Bhishma wanted to show the world how Krishna can do anything to protect his devotees. Therefore, it is such a wonderful thing to practice spiritual life. It is the surest and the safest path. People in this world they want safety, insurance, and for that they do so many of the arrangements. But that's all okay. But taking shelter of Krishna is the surest and the safest way to protect ourselves. That does not mean we don't do any practical things, but we should depend on Krishna after doing all our endeavors. And therefore, Bhishma, he wanted to show the world how Krishna can do anything. Bhishma is told Duryodhana, "Oh Duryodhana, now I can't do it again. I have invested my whole life's mystic power in those 5 arrows, but now they are gone. I can't do anything now." But still, he said, "Today I take a vow. Either Arjuna will be killed or Krishna has to intervene." And because Krishna will not intervene, because he has taken a vow not to lift weapons, so Arjuna is going to be killed today. Duryodhana, he felt so very happy. He felt relieved because Arjuna was the most formidable warrior. That day, Bhishma was furious. He fighted like never before. He was fighting, and he fought like unimaginable. And going before him, it was like going directly in front of death. Pandava's army broke, fled everywhere. Krishna, he told Arjuna, "Oh Arjuna, you have to fight with Bhishma. You have given your promise. You have to fight. Give up all your affection. Just fight." Arjuna could not gather strength to fight against Bhishma. But somehow he said, "Okay, it is a duty of a Kshatriya. I will try my best." But still, Arjuna could not put his heart in fighting. Bhishma was fighting furiously. And because he was angered by the words of Duryodhana, he was actually fighting furiously earlier also. But this day, he wanted to show the world one more thing, that Krishna is there always to protect his devotees. Whoever comes in front doesn't matter. Even I try my best, I cannot kill Arjun. That's what Bhishma wanted to prove. So we can see throughout this, discussion, throughout this life of Bhishma, whatever he was doing, he had the intention of proving, showing the world how Krishna is great, how devotional service is great, how devotees of the Lord, they are never defeated. They can never be defeated. Bhishma, he started shooting arrows towards Arjuna. Arjuna was getting wounded. Krishna became worried. He thought, if things go like this, then for sure Arjuna will be killed. I have to do something. I have to take the situation in my hand. He left the reins, jumped off the chariot, took a chariot wheel which was lying there, started running towards Bhishma, running with full force. Everybody was stunned to see this. Bhishma, when he saw, he left immediately, he left his bow exclaimed in joy, "Oh, come, O Keshav, come. What can be a greater glory than to die in your hands?" Arjuna, when he saw this, he became completely shocked. He was shocked. He started shouting, "Oh Krishna, please don't do this. You have taken a vow not to lift a weapon. You will be disgraced. I promise you I'll fight with the best of my capacity." He jumped from the chariot. He started running towards Krishna. Krishna, as he was running, he was shouting towards Bhishma, "Oh Bhishma, this whole battle is happening because of you. You did not give good counsel. You did not do your duty properly to towards this kingdom." Bhishma, he said, "Yes, I tried my best, but I could not convince Duryodhan. What can I do?" Arjuna, he leaped. He caught hold of the thighs of Bhishma, and he was telling, "Oh Krishna," he caught hold of thigh of Krishna, and he was telling, "Oh Krishna, please stop." Krishna, he was so very overwhelmed with the anxiety to protect Arjuna, he was deafened. He could not hear the words of Arjuna. He dragged Arjuna for a long distance. Then somehow Arjuna, he banged his feet in the ground, and then somehow he could stop Krishna. And he told Krishna, "Oh Krishna, please don't do this. Please don't break your vow for our sake. I will fight." And then somehow Krishna was pacified, and then he and Arjuna came back. For Bhishma, this vision of Krishna, this image of Krishna running towards him, that was the greatest of the ecstasies of Krishna, greatest of the ecstasies of Bhishma. You have to understand, Bhishma is a devotee in a mood of chivalry. There are various devotees in various types of moods. There is one mood, that is mood of chivalry, that is called Viryaras. Just like father, sometime, in a mock fight, father fights with his own son, and son may kick father, and then father, you know, he may shout, "Oh, I am hurt." And when son sees this, he laughs. And the father also likes that. He also becomes happy. Sometimes God also wants to, have this type of relationship with his devotees. And therefore, he has, you know, reciprocated with that devotion of Bhishma, the mood of chivalry. And this vision of Krishna carrying the wheel of the chariot, it became etched in the heart of Bhishma. And we'll see in some time how this vision Bhishma remembers at the last moment of his death. So then, for that day, the war was over. Yudhishthir went back to Krishna in the evening. He said, "Oh Krishna, I'm so very grateful that you protected Arjuna, but I'm just wondering how Bhishma will be defeated. If things go on like this, I don't think we can ever defeat Bhishma." Krishna, he told, he said, he reminded Yudhishthir, "Oh Yudhishthir, you remember? Before the war began, you went to Bhishma and asked for the same thing. How you can be defeated?" That time Bhishma had told that you come to me sometime later. So now I think we have to go and ask him only. Because he cannot be defeated. Bhishma cannot be defeated unless he reveals. So that evening, all the Pandavas and Krishna, they went to the camp of Bhishma. And Bhishma, he was so very happy. He welcomed all of them. And he said, "Oh Krishna, oh Pandavas, oh Yudhishthira Maharaj, please tell me why you have come. And then Yudhishthir, although he was happy to see Bhishma, but he was so very sad for what he was about to speak. Yudhishthir, with a very heavy heart, he said, O grandsire, with you at the side of Kauravas, how can we win? You are indefeatable. Bhishma said, Yes. As long as I have weapons in my arms, nobody can defeat me. But I will never fight in unfair way. I will never fight against one who is unarmed. I will never fight against one who has put his weapons down. I will not fight against women, against a warrior who has only one son. I will not fight against a person who bears the name of a woman. And then he said, Shikhandi, I consider him as a woman because that's how she was born. He was born as a woman, then she became a man. If Shikhandi shoots arrows at me and Arjun is behind him, I will not retaliate. That is the only way you can kill me. All the Pandavas, with a very heavy heart, they offered their respects and ultimately departed. 10th day, Shakuni was heading the army, and Arjuna and Bhima they were defending him on the both sides. And Arjuna and Bhima they wanted to come in front of Bhishma, but the army of Kauravas they were trying to stop Shikhandi to come in front of Bhishma. Intense battle started. Somehow, Arjuna he started destroying the warriors and ultimately he came in front of Bhishma. Shikhandi he started shooting arrows. Bhishma he did not even care to retaliate. He said, "Oh Shikhandi, I consider you as women and for me it is not appropriate to fight against you. I'll not fight against you." Shikhandi he felt so very insulted. He started shooting arrows, but those arrows were not affecting Bhishma much. But Arjuna he started shooting arrows from behind. Dronacharya he was fighting nearby. He could see the omens in the sky, inauspicious. He told Ashwatthama, Ashwatthama, you go and help Bhishma. I think he's in danger. I think today he's going to leave us. Ashwatthama came and he was fighting against Bhishma, fighting for Bhishma and fighting against Arjuna. And Arjuna he was fighting arrows, shooting arrows such fiercely that he destroyed all the army. He destroyed, completely the army which was supporting Bhishma. Even Ashwatthama could not handle him. And then ultimately, this Arjuna he started shooting arrows towards Bhishma. The arrows were piercing the body of Bhishma. Bhishma he told Dushashan, who came to help him, he said, "Oh Dushashan, I can feel the arrows of Shikhandi and Arjuna. The arrows of Shikhandi, they cannot do much. But the arrows of Arjuna, they are like thunderbolt. So now you please take care because I am going to die now. You carry on." And Arjuna, he shot so many arrows, there was not even a space to put fingers between the two arrows. Ultimately, Bhishma, he fell from the chariot, did not touch the ground because the arrows were there through and through his body. He landed on the bed of arrows. As Bhishma fell down, great uproar started in the Kaurava army. Everybody stopped fighting. Dronacharya came to offer respects. Even Arjuna and Yudhishthir Maharaj, everybody came to offer respects to Bhishma. When Arjuna came, Bhishma, he told, "Oh Arjuna, my head is hanging. Please do something." Before that, Duryodhan, he was also there. So he was thinking what to do, but Arjuna could understand. He shot arrows and made a support for Bhishma. Then Duryodhan, he appointed soldiers to guard the body of Bhishma. Otherwise, many vultures could come. Everybody departed. Next morning, Karna came to meet Bhishma, and he asked forgiveness from Bhishma for the harsh words. Bhishma also said, "Actually, I don't desire any ill for you, but I spoke all those harsh words just to correct your mentality." Karna offered respects, went back. Then all the Kauravas and the Pandava warriors came. Bhishma told, "I am thirsty, please do something." Duryodhan had arranged for people to give water in nice golden pots. But Bhishma said, "No, no, no. I have nothing to do with the luxury of this world." He looked towards Arjuna. Arjuna understood. He shot his powerful arrows in the ground, and those arrows, they broke apart the layers in the ground. Water came from within, and a very crystal clear stream of water fell right in the mouth of Bhishma. Bhishma, as he opened his eyes, he could see Mother Ganga in that stream of water. He became so very happy and satisfied, drank the water. In this way, the whole war continued, and then ultimately the Pandavas were victorious. Yudhishthir Maharaj, although he won the battle, he became the emperor, but he was very much disgusted because of killing of so many of the warriors. That is a devotee's heart. A person who is a spiritualist, he naturally has a very soft heart. That is the nature of a devotee. When you serve God, naturally you want to serve the humanity also. When you do Madhava Seva, naturally you want to do Manav Seva also. We cannot dissociate Manav Seva and Madhava Seva. So Yudhishthir Maharaj, because he was, such a great devotee of the Lord, he felt such, compassion. He felt such remorse because he thought, I am responsible for the killing of all these soldiers. Nobody could pacify Yudhishthir, not even Krishna, because Krishna had a plan. He wanted to glorify Bhishma. So, Krishna, he took Yudhishthir Maharaj and all the Pandavas and went to Bhishma. Yudhishthir was dressed in a very opulent cloth like a king because that was the desire of Bhishma. Bhishma wanted to see Pandavas as the king of the entire, Hastinapur. Just to give pleasure to Bhishma, Yudhishthir, he dressed as a king and he went. When Bhishma he saw Yudhishthir and all the Pandavas coming, he felt so very happy. And he welcomed all of them with nice words. This is very interesting. Although Bhishma, he was lying on the bed of arrows in such intense pain, but still, when all these warriors came, he welcomed them. How could he welcome them? He was not in a position to give them nice seat, water, food. He just welcomed them with nice words. That is how we have to understand. We can give respect to anybody according to our situation. When some guest comes, ideally is we give him nice place to sit, speak nice words, give him water and some food. If we cannot do that, at least give water, at least give nice sitting place, at least speak nice words. That is culture. So Bhishma, he welcomed all of them, and then he started speaking to Yudhishthir. He said, "Oh Yudhishthir, it is so very sad to see that you all Pandavas have suffered so much. Aho kashtam, aho anyayam. Such injustices have been done towards you. You are such wonderful religious people. You are on the side of religion, but still calamities came in your life." Yudhishthir, he was dharma personified, he was morality personified, Arjuna was skill personified, Bhima was strength personified, and Krishna, God Himself, was there on the side of Pandavas. This combination is unimaginable. To have the combination of strength, skill, religion, morality, and God. But still, Pandavas had to suffer so much. In our life, we may not have all these four things and we may suffer. We can see how Pandavas responded to the problems. That's how a spiritualist is. That's how a devotee is. He never blames God. He always learns how can I serve better. And Yudhishthir Maharaj, Bhishma Dev, he himself answered, what is the reason of the suffering of Pandavas? He said, this is all inconceivable time. And time sometimes brings misery, sometimes brings joy. Best way is to act as per the will of the Lord, which He gives in scriptures. And for sure, ultimately will be victorious. And that's what happened with Pandavas. They were victorious. Ultimately, Bhishma, he gave such wonderful instructions to Yudhishthir Maharaj. For 56 days, Bhishma was instructing Yudhishthir Maharaj. And then ultimately, the sun entered Uttarayan, northern part of the sky, and Bhishma, he stopped speaking. He became completely silent, focused his eyes on the Lord. He started glorifying the Lord. He said, just see the great fortune of mine. Because I acted according to the will of the Lord. What was the will of the Lord? That Bhishma should be on the side of Kauravas. Bhishma said, although it was so very difficult for me to fight on the side of evil, but because it was the will of the Lord, I did it. Just see now what has happened. तथाप्येकांत भक्तेषु पश्य भूपानुकंपितं यन्मे असून्त्यजत साक्षात् कृष्णो दर्शनमागतः. Very wonderful verse Bhishma is saying. He says, just see, O king, because I am such a great devotee of Lord, that is not boasting. Bhishma is not proud about his devotion. He is glorifying the process of bhakti. He is glorifying the process of spiritual life. That is the greatest hope for everybody. If we live our life according to the laws of God, we may suffer temporarily, but ultimately Krishna will be there for our help. Bhishma says, just see, oh Yudhishthir, because I served the Lord properly, now as I am leaving my body, Krishna himself, God himself has come to give his darshan. What can be the greater fortune for me? As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva. Whoever remembers me at the time of death, he attains my abode. So therefore, Bhishma, through his life, very graphically, he has showed if somebody lives according to the will of the Lord, follows the instructions given in the scriptures, temporarily setbacks may come in the life, ultimately Krishna Darshana Agata will happen. Krishna will come to help a devotee for sure. Actually, he is helping always. So Bhishma, he focused his mind on Krishna, remembered all the wonderful, instructions of Krishna. He remembered the form of Krishna with a wheel in his hand, running towards him. He remembered Krishna as Parth Sarthi, the driver of Arjuna. He remembered Krishna as Vijaya Sakha, the friend of Arjuna. He remembered how Krishna was worshipped in Rajasuya Yagya. And then he remembered gopis, the foremost of the devotees of Krishna. Ultimately, he offered respects to Krishna, became silent, and departed from this world and went to the spiritual world. All the celestials, they started showering flowers, seeing the wonderful departure of Bhishma. And ultimately, the Pandavas, they performed the last rites of Bhishma. That is the ultimate glory of any spiritualist, to leave the body remembering to live the life according to the instructions of Krishna, and to leave this life remembering the instructions of Krishna. Krishna may not come personally, but if we are remembering Krishna, we are with Krishna. So this is the wonderful life of Bhishma Dev. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for
Hare Krishna.
yet another very, very enlightening session, and especially all the devotional aspect of Bhishma Pitama, which you took out from all the pastimes. Really grateful for that. Prabhuji, one thought, one thing which came to my mind was that Krishna was blaming Bhishma Pitama at the time when he picked up the wheel and he said it's because of you the war happened. And so sometimes in our own lives also we don't understand whether uh, we are acting on the platform of devotion or personal interest. So it's very confusing state for us also. So how do we understand remove this dilemma from our lives?
Yeah, yeah, very correctly said. Because many times situations will come in life that we will think, oh, are we acting selfishly, or is it right way to act according to the scriptures? So therefore, when these dilemmas come in our life, we have to take shelter of three things: Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, the saintly personalities, the spiritual teachers, and the scriptures. These three things, they are the, uh, you know, as they say, lighthouse, which give us right direction. When we are bewildered, when we are not able to understand, am I going on the right path or the wrong path? So first, read scriptures. If we are refining our intelligence every day by reading scriptures. Secondly, if we are with those people who are also equally involved in practicing those principles. And thirdly, if we are taking shelter, taking instructions from some qualified teachers, then for sure, even if dilemma comes, that dilemma will be resolved without any doubt. And that's what Krishna is telling again and again through various pastimes. When Arjuna was bewildered in Bhagavad Gita, what did he do? That was the greatest dharma sankat for Arjuna. It was very logical. If you hear the arguments which are given by Arjuna, he was feeling compassionate. He was feeling that I will get sinful reaction. He was feeling that how I will enjoy if I kill my family relatives, and the destruction of the family tradition will happen. All these things may look very logical, and he was speaking according to Dharma Shastra. But when he took shelter of Krishna, then Krishna very easily he dispelled all the doubts of all the dilemma of Arjuna. So therefore, whenever we are put in such dilemmas, We have to find out people who can guide us. And of course, we have to ourselves take the responsibility to read the scriptures every day. That will refine our intelligence. Many times, because people, when they practice spiritual life, they follow it because it feels good. I like doing it, you know. But if it doesn't look good, then they will say, "Oh, I'm not interested." Spiritual life is not an option; it is a compulsory thing. It is essential thing for everybody. It is not just to make feel good. That's how our life will be, molded in a way by which we can, go towards the right path. That's what scriptures are for. They are like the manuals, as they say. With every machine, a manual comes. Similarly, the scriptures, they're like a manual which help us how to lead this life properly, when to take the turns, how to take right decisions. And even after reading scriptures, if we are not able to understand, then for sure there are many people who are much senior, much experienced. If we take shelter of them, then for sure we'll be given right type of guidance. And that's how we can practice without any doubt. Because if we are not clarifying our doubt, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, agyascha ashraddhanascha samshayatma vinashyati nayam loko asti na paro na sukham samshayatmanah. If we have doubts, better to clarify those doubts. The person who is ignorant, agya means ignorant, ashraddhana means faithless, and samshayatma means doubting soul. The person who is ignorant, faithless, and doubting soul, vinashyati, he is destroyed. He cannot do anything in this life or in the next life properly. And Krishna says, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. If you have faith, then you will get the knowledge. You will come out of this doubt, you will come out of this dilemma. So therefore it is duty of everybody of us to take responsibility, learn the scriptures under the guidance of right authorized bona fide teachers. Then even if doubt comes, it will be dispelled very easily. Okay.
Sure, Prabhuji. This is very good guidelines you have given, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, another thing which which came to my mind was often people think that if Krishna would have been in front of me, I would have accepted the truth, and which seems logical, like if Krishna was, but here Krishna was in front of Duryodhan, but still he could not accept him as the supreme lord, or he still thought he was maybe Mayavi, or at times, like you today you mentioned that he said maybe he's God.
Yeah.
But that's the only, so we are so entangled in our desires and our attachments that even if Krishna comes right in front of us, we'll not be able to see him. Or rather, he is standing in front of us like Gopinath, and but what is the uh, how to come out of this?
Yeah. So actually, that is the reality, that if we are covered by our own attachments and desires, our distorted conceptions, even if God is standing right in front of us, will not be able to understand, will not be able to realize. And for that matter, we have to understand, we cannot see God with our naked eyes. We have to have the eyes of knowledge and eyes of devotion. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. नाहम प्रकाश सर्वस्य योग माया समावृता मूढ़ोयम नाभिजानाति लोको माम अजम अव्ययम. Krishna says, I cover myself with my illusory potency. So that's what Krishna does. Because Krishna does not like to reveal himself to those people who are not following the principles of scriptures, who are not having a a heart full of devotion. He reveals himself to those people who are really devoted to him, who wants to serve him. Because Krishna is not a god who is like, you know, autocrat, completely, fully in control. I want you to do everything according to my direction only. If you read Bhagavad Gita is not a book of commandments. Bhagavad Gita is a book of choices. Nowhere in Bhagavad Gita Krishna says you have to do this. Krishna always gives choices in Bhagavad Gita. If you do this, you will go there. If you do that, you will go there. If you are faithful, you will get knowledge. If you are faithless, you will be destroyed. If you follow my instructions, you will become successful. If you will not follow, then you will be destroyed. You know. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is always telling about the various choices which are available to everybody of us. And it is up to us to choose. And we cannot blame Krishna that, oh, I cannot understand good or bad. Everybody has a intelligent brain. Everybody has the discrimination power, and we have to exercise our discrimination power to choose the right from the wrong. You know. So therefore, when we read Bhagavad Gita, we have to learn what is good, what is bad, and then when Krishna comes in front, we'll see Krishna. As Krishna says, as it is said that don't try to see God, serve God in such a way that God wants to see you. You know, because ultimately Krishna wants every one of us to love him. If a boy is in love with some girl, he cannot put a gun on the head and say you love me. That will be, that will not be so much appropriate. Love should be voluntary, right? So Krishna, he wants us to love him voluntarily, not forcefully. And that's why he has given all the scriptures so that we can make that right decision. We can choose the right things. And that's how when Krishna is there, just like in the DT form, as you said, when Gopinath is standing, Krishna is there. And those who are free from the contaminations of the heart, they can actually see Krishna standing right there in threefold bending form. They are not just seeing the stone, they are seeing Lord Himself. So this is what is spiritual life, to purify ourselves of the conditionings, contaminations, impurities of the mind and the heart, so that our eyes become anointed with the salve of love, Premanjana Churita, and then we can see Krishna. Otherwise, many people saw Krishna on the battlefield when Krishna was there on the earth, but there were many people who were envious, who were enemies of Krishna, because they did not want to serve Krishna. So that is what Bhagavad Gita Krishna is teaching. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Become my devotee, offer obeisances unto me, worship me with faith. In this way, you will come to me for sure. So that is what is the teaching of Krishna, and that's what we have to do. And then we'll be able to see Krishna, maybe directly with our own eyes, if Krishna willing.
And
Okay.
maybe experience his mercy in some way. Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions they would like to ask? Uh, we can, okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. We
Thank
look
you
forward
very much for giving
to
a
our
chance.
future sessions also.
Hare Krishna. So,
Okay, Priya Mataji has a question. I'll unmute, ask her to unmute. Yeah, you can unmute yourself.
Haribol Prabhuji, Haribol Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, in the beginning of the lecture, you had spoken about how you're on the path of religion, and then you don't even know, and you can be on the opposite path of irreligion. So, can you throw some light on that, and how would we know that we have crossed that line?
Okay, yeah. So basically, for anything to do in this world, we need a guide. We need a teacher who is constantly giving guidance, constantly observing our activities, so that we don't get deviated or distracted. That is there for any field in this world, and the same is applicable in the spiritual life also. As we are traveling on this path of spiritual life, but as it is said, this path is, although it is very, very easy, but if we are not attentive, it is so very easy to get distracted, because the distractions are unlimited. Just you walk by on the road, you pass by, you are driving in a car, and so many billboards are there. The desires, they are forcibly entering into your mind, just like the rivers entering into a small puddle, small lake. If rivers enter, the lake will be over flooded. But if rivers enter ocean, nothing will happen to the ocean. Similarly, in our path of spiritual life, so many desires, they enter our mind. And if our mind is like a puddle of water, then it will be over flooded with the desires. But if our mind and heart, the happiness which is already there in the heart, it is like an ocean, then the desires will not affect much. So this is one thing. One is, we have to make our devotional quotient, spiritual quotient, more and more strong and powerful, so that even if some distraction comes, we don't get disturbed by it. If we are getting disturbed by the distractions, that means we are disconnected from spiritual life. That is a sure short understanding, that is a very clear understanding. If we are getting disconnect, if we are getting disturbed, that means we are lacking our connection with Krishna. So now we have to keep working on. At the same time, we have to be under the guidance of a superior, experienced and advanced devotee, who can tell us, oh, now I think you are getting distracted. Nobody should feel I am independent. People, they think I can practice spiritual life alone, I don't need anybody. But for any material thing also, we need a guide. What to speak of spiritual life? So we have to be always under the guidance of a person. And if there is nobody who can say, I don't see anybody ahead, I think I am the greatest, that is not possible, right? We all have somebody who can, from with whom we can take guidance. So two things: depending on the superiors, taking shelter of them, asking them whenever we have some difficulty, and our personal endeavor. Personally, we have to become like an ocean. Our heart, our happiness, the happiness one experiences in the spiritual life, it should become so much that the distractions, the attractions of the world may not trouble us. And that will not happen in a day. That takes time, that may take months and years. But we have to continue endeavoring steadily, consistently. Consistency pleases Krishna. You know, Krishna is more pleased with our consistent attempts than our competency. We may do some great feats for some time, but if we are doing our devotional service consistently, that is pleasing to Krishna much more. We may do some great things, we may do lots of things, in between lots of services, but our basic sadhana, basic practices of spiritual life should be very, very consistent, very, very steady, and then for sure, there are less chances that we'll get distracted. And of course, even if we are doing our daily practices consistently, we should always be under the guidance of some superior devotee, so that even if by chance, because that is the nature of the mind, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, even if you allow one of the senses to get distracted, it can drown the entire, you know it can, just like a boat can be drowned by the waves of the wind, even one of the senses can distract the mind of a spiritualist. Vayur navam ivambasi indriyani, uh, I'm forgetting the verse. He says that one should be very, very careful not to allow even one of the senses to get distracted. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult to come back. So, our consistent attempts and dependence on the superior devotees, that can help us to be on the right path always. Okay.
you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just one thing, like, our japa is consistent, the time, and, doing 16 rounds or how many ever. But then the quality is not, the mind. So does that help? Is that because I've heard, like, even if your mind wanders and you're not there in the japa, it's of no use.
Actually, that is the case which will be there always, till the time we are not coming to the level of steady devotion service. So, one should not get discouraged by seeing the wanderings of our mind, because that is another trick of Maya. Material energy will make you think this is not for you. This spiritual life is not for you. You cannot do all these spiritual practices. Anyways, you are distracted. Anyways, you cannot chant attentively. So why you are doing, all this? Somebody said best way. So it is said that it is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. So somebody was telling in a just humorous mood. He said, so if you are chanting inattentively, that is an offense. So best way to avoid offenses, don't chant. You know? So that will be always there till the time we are not purified of our contaminations. So it is said, Bhuma uskhalit padanam, Bhuma veva valambanam, Tvai jata paradhanam, Tameva sharanam prabho. Small child walks and then falls down. He's learning to walk, falls down, again gets up, again walks. So we are like maybe toddlers in the spiritual life. We may be chanting since 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. But we don't understand how much work is remaining. It is like, you know, cleaning a whole mountain of dust. So we should not be so much concerned that, okay, still I have all the anarthas, I'm trying my best, still my mind is wandering. That will be there. That is not our concern. Our concern is, am I struggling properly to purify the mind, to purify our anarthas, our conditionings? That is Krishna's job. That is not our job. Our job is to struggle to the best of our capacity. Struggle pleases Krishna. Am I struggling properly? Krishna sees, oh, this devotee, although it has no taste, but still he gets up every day, does the japa 16 rounds, although he does not like to do, even if he is sleeping in the japa, he's sleeping in the class, still at least he's trying. So that is our role. We have to keep struggling. And then for sure, Krishna is not a cruel God. I will not purify his mind. He is ready. Problem is, we are not endeavoring enough. So we should not get discouraged, depressed, thinking, oh, I am not experiencing any ecstasy, tears are not coming off my eyes. You know, We hear all that in Chaitanya Charitamrita only. Hairs are not standing on end. Throat is not choking. All this is not in our hand. Our hand is we can struggle to the best of our capacity. And then, of course, Krishna is there. He will show mercy. All of us, we are chanting since so many years, and we can vouch for sure the day we started chanting and now. Is there some difference? If yes, then the process is working. So, therefore, we have to be enthusiastic, we have to be determined, and we have to be patient. Utsaha, Nishchay, and Dhairya. So then, for sure, Krishna will help. Krishna is there to help us to show mercy. Okay, Matsi.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So
Hare Krishna.
looking forward to our future sessions also. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.